I hate to say this, but the referees in these playoffs have clearly screwed the Golden State Warriors. And the worst part of it is that they're not even ashamed about it. I mean, in the latter part of Game 1 against the Kings, Steph Curry quickly attacked going to the cup. But as you can see, the refs suddenly swallowed their whistle when they saw that Barnes made contact against Steph. Like, how was that not a foul? And in the last minute of the game, the refs didn't call the hand check right here. And after that, they also didn't blow their whistle on Monk when he bumped him on the finish. I mean, Steph just threw his hands up out of disbelief and frustration. Now, obviously, this was not that big of a deal anymore since the Warriors already won against the Kings. But looking back, those are two crucial and blatant and one calls that the refs have let go, which could have changed the outcome of Game 1, a game which the Warriors lost by only 3 points. And if you take a look at the free throw discrepancy between the two teams, the devil is clearly in the details, because the Kings had 5 more free throws over the Warriors, and they made 5 extra free throws out of that. So there's no doubt that these seemingly insignificant free throws played a huge part in the Dubs' heartbreaking loss. See, this was just the beginning of the refs' utter disrespect towards the Dubs this playoffs, because in Game 2, they were back doing their shady business yet again. I mean, here's Draymond Green on the fast break attack as he gathered for a 1-2 step. Barnes hand-checked and gave him a little nudge as he went for the finish. But once again, the refs looked the other way around as if nothing happened. Now, look at how Sabonis erased Andrew Wiggins in the frame here. First, he shoved him away using his elbow to seal down low, and if that wasn't enough, he extended his right arm across Wiggins' face to get into a deeper position. I mean, am I watching UFC here or what? When the game ended, the Dubs lost as expected by a close margin yet again, 114-106. And when you take a look at the free throw numbers, there's the refs' imprints all over as they allowed the Kings to have 9 more free throws than the Warriors. And at this point, it was becoming super obvious that the refs were preventing the Dubs from winning. I mean, it was so obvious that it got the attention of JJ Redick. In an episode of First Take, Redick blasted the refs for their despicable behavior against the Dubs, and even cited one particular play that was just borderline criminal in his view.
To me, the referees have dictated too much in this series. They have allowed too much. I have no problem with physical play in the playoffs. But if Steph Curry's not allowed to move off the ball, if you're preventing players from running down the court and you're allowing that to happen, there's a play late in Game 2 where Kevon Looney's right underneath the rim, ready for a rebound. Sabonis crashes in, pushes him in the back. They don't call the foul. That's a foul. The referees have dictated too much in the Kings' favor in this series. I really believe that. And I don't know if it's the home crowd or whatever. I rarely complain about the referees. In fact, I don't even know if I've ever complained about the referees. I think they're great. But if they're going to come back in this series, they've got to call the game the way the game is supposed to be called.
Anyways, one of the most controversial plays that happened back in Game 2 was when Draymond inadvertently stomped Sabonis in the chest right after the fourth quarter. Now, in fairness to the refs, they made the right call by assessing Sabonis with a technical foul for initially grabbing Draymond's leg and throwing Draymond out of the ball game, because the rulebook straight up says that you can't just stomp somebody like you're stomping dried raisins. However, what really grinds my gears about this was that they had to suspend Draymond in the following game, which I think was completely unnecessary. And according to reports, the league says that the reason behind this was simply because Draymond had a history of being hostile, and they were just being careful to avoid things from further escalating. Now, in his podcast, Draymond expressed his opinion over his suspension and even fired sarcastic shots at the league by saying,
I know everyone wants to hear my thoughts on the suspension. I never knew you could be suspended for a flagrant 2 that happened 7 years ago. And I also didn't know you get suspended for interacting with a crowd that's flipping you double birds and yelling your name and chants that you suck and like you interact with them. I didn't know that either.
With the refs already against the Dubs, the league suspended their best defender in the pivotal Game 3, while being down 2-0. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm smelling a conspiracy brewing here between the league and the refs, as they clearly tried their very best to deny the Dubs another championship. Anyways, their plan ultimately failed because in Game 3, the Dubs bounced back big time and built momentum, which they carried for their next couple games. And to avoid getting exposed, the refs also changed their tune along with the Dubs' momentum, as they generously gave the Warriors more free throw attempts in the next 5 games over the Kings, because they knew that the Dubs were not going to fold just like that. Anyways, after their big comeback in that pivotal Game 7, I really thought that their bitter love affair with the refs was already over. However, I didn't expect that they were just warming up in the first round, because in Game 1 against the Lakers, well, they screwed the Warriors again, and to my big surprise, it was much worse and way more obvious than before. I mean, the refs set the tone early on by making inconsistent calls in favor of the Lakers. Like in this instance, they didn't call a foul despite the obvious contact made by Looney. But in this play, they suddenly blew their whistle even if Kevon Looney just barely grazed AD's leg. This is just one of the many questionable calls the refs made in Game 1, and when the game ended, they rewarded the Lakers with 29 free throws for being aggressive as opposed to just 6 attempts for the Dubs. I mean, obviously, a huge chunk of the Lakers' free throw share came from AD, which is pretty fair. But what's puzzling to me was the free throw attempts that Schroeder had. Like, how was he able to get more free throw attempts than LeBron or AD? And right after the game, this was also the same question running in Steph's mind.
Schroeder gets 10 free throws, like that can't happen. Whether we think it's a foul or not, we can't put ourselves in that situation.
Anyways, after a big bounce-back win in Game 2, the refs came back hard at the Dubs in Game 3. And once again, they screwed them by sending the Lakers to the free throw line with silly calls like this. See, even if JaMychal Green just held his ground in this play, he was charged with a blocking foul, even if Vanderbilt was clearly the one who initiated the contact. In the blowout win against the Dubs in Game 3, the Lakers outscored the Warriors 28-12 in the foul line, and in the post-game interview, you can clearly sense that Steph Curry was clearly bothered by the eye-popping free throw disparity, even though he tries his best to ignore it.
Hey Steph, whether it's calls that stop the momentum of a game or you guys not getting calls you'd like, what can you guys draw from the team's obvious experience to navigate through those things?
Just remain confident in who we are and how we play and not get distracted by stuff that you can't control. As much as it's frustrating, that's the test that every team has to go through throughout a series is, blocking out all that type of stuff as much as you can. We obviously know who we are and what we're capable of and all the things we always say after the loss, and excited to get back out there on Monday.
Meanwhile, Draymond also said his piece about the issue, and just like Steph, he kept his answers straightforward.
What do you think happened
The
there?
game stopped. We on the free throw line every time.
Did you were you satisfied, happy with the way the refs called that?
It is what it is. Game over now. Don't matter if I'm satisfied or don't matter.
What does that do to a team mentally to keep having the game stop and keep having the fouls pile up?
It's frustrating.
Anyways, in Game 4, the same trend continued as the refs remained unforgiving in making calls in favor of the Warriors. I mean, look at LeBron right here. As Wiggins hangs in the air, LeBron clearly gave him a forearm, which made him lose his balance. Again, the referees pretended they didn't see anything on that play. But on the other hand, the refs would not hesitate to blow their whistle and call a foul as soft as this one. By the end of the game, the Warriors only had 12 free throws, while the Lakers had 20, despite the Dubs being equally aggressive as the Lakers in attacking the rim. Anyways, because of the glaring disparity in the free throw department, the Lakers were able to steal games from the Golden State Warriors. And if the refs don't change their ways in making calls in the following games, Sad to say, but after all that hard work in the Kings series, the Warriors straight up got robbed this postseason.